the gaze meets the sky, wearing the weight of wisdom's crown. Listens to beats that never drown, with a cap that holds the unknown. In the spotlight, yet alone, a silent voice, a humble king. In this picture, let the story sing.
Yeah. We're just gonna give a few more minutes. We got, what it to 10,000 live viewers tuning in.
In this picture, let the story sing.
As we go. And then this is, that's the one right there. This is the Riverside.fm intro. That's the one. I was like, where the hell is that one, man?
I know. Like, where'd the other one come from?
Which
I was
one?
waiting for the one that you were playing earlier, but I was waiting for the one that you just played a little bit.
Yeah, that's the one that we're used to, accustomed to. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But we're going to jump right to it, man. 3, 2, 1, because we are live on YouTube. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, live episode of the Y-Oops Podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Mofanua.
And I'm Ely.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, this is a podcast where we dive into topics that shape our workplaces and communities. Your hosts, us, the great ones. Today's live, we're going to be tackling a topic that, thank God, that one of our hosts is actually a subject matter expert at it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about tonight's episode, man. If y'all, those that are not familiar, those are probably already doing it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? The heart and the labor discussion of union. You know what I'm saying? Specifically, I believe Ely is more expert on the federal side, right, cousin? Is that right?
Sure.
So the question is, are unions the champions of workers' rights, securing better wages, a safer working conditions, or do they present challenges that can hinder businesses, flexibilities, and individual negotiations? We're going to explore the history of labor unions, their impact on various industries, and the evolving role that they play in today's gig. Some people like to call it gig, economic, which is basically nowadays a lot of people's on internet. You know what I'm saying? So that's the challenges. But you're going to want to stay tuned on this one, man, because throughout the show, we're going to be taking calls. We're going to be reading some comments. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear you guys share your experience. Those that are in the unions, that are against it, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's positive or negative. Let us have this conversation, man. Let's open this and influence each other, your professional life, you know what I'm saying? So stay tuned. If this is you don't want to miss out on this episode, y'all. Just go. See, that's what I'm talking about, intro.
Powered by Riverside.
How did it sound, though?
If you feel like you sounded good, you sounded good. It's all about you, I guess. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the shoulder.
I know. Sorry.
You didn't even have to ask me, bro. You already said it sounded good, and that's how you did the intro. So why do I need to intervene and say something? My opinion is exactly. You're feeling yourself. It's all good. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, man, this is your first time on the show. That's the only thing that I got covered tonight because everything's gonna be Ely. You know what I'm saying? So I had have my little stick. That's all I can do right now. But anyways, before we talk about the labor union, we're gonna jump into this week's highlight. How do we call it? Highlighting small businesses. And tonight's episode, man, is sponsored by yours truly, my man Tassi Pula, all the way out there in Portland, Oregon. You see this hat that I'm rocking, man? They're called the Toa Concrete out there in Portland, Oregon. If you're somebody that's out there in the Oregon, the 503 area code, and you need some shit done in the back of your yard, and you just don't, you're tired of just people ripping you off, man, don't worry about it, man. Tonight's episode, we got you covered, man. I will be posting everything, not on tonight's live because I don't have it, but when we put out the podcast, we're going to be posting all his information, man. Check out Toa Concrete, the trusted man, you know what I'm saying, that will take care of your patio, your walkway, whatever you have. And he also said, shout out to Tassi, man, for real. Toa, you know what I'm saying? That's the hat, rocket.
It's a nice hat.
It is a nice one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who's sponsoring us tonight. Thanks for the hat, Oos.
Oh,
Ako
thanks
nga
for the
ngalo,
sponsor.
ako nga ngalo lala, sana ko lisik ya mapili.
And don't forget, down the back of the house, the side of the house, the front of the house.
Anywhere you want to go, man. Even if you want a concrete car, Troll Concrete can take care of you, y'all. For real.
Free consultation, so reach out to him. And as Kenny said, he'll put out the information for Toil Concrete out in the Pacific Northwest in Portland.
There you go. There you go. There you go, cuz. Well, you know what I'm saying? The floor is yours. Labor unions. Really, man, educate us, especially somebody like myself, man. What is a labor union and what is the purpose of it?
Well, first let's talk about YFGE, and that's the acronym for American Federation of Government Employees. If you work for the government or know someone who does, you need to hear this. AFGE is stepping into the spotlight in a major way right now. You hear and you see a lot of federal employees being fired, and then they're being brought back to work, and you just see a lot of stuff going on. So a little history with AFGE. With over 820,000 members, it's the largest federal employee union in the country. And right now, its role has never been more important. Whether you work for the Social Security Office, the Bureau of Prisons, the VA, USDA, Environmental Protected Action, all those federal agencies, AFGE covers. And AFGE isn't just helpful, it's essential because if the rights of these workers are under pressure, guess what? So are the services they provide to all of us. So think about that. So let's zoom out, okay? What exactly is AFGE? I already told you guys what it stands for. It was founded in 1932 during the Great Depression when workers everywhere were struggling. Since then, it's grown to represent over 820,000 federal and DC government employees. That includes people who work at the Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Defense, Bureau of Prisons, EPA, just about every federal agency that you can think of. Their mission? It's easy. It's to fight for fair pay, safe working conditions, and the rights of workers to be treated with respect and dignity. Now, remember, when essential workers were praised during the pandemic, do you remember that time, Kenny? Many of them, you remember that time?
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yep. Showing up every day, even when it wasn't safe to keep things running, they were AFGE members, you know. So let's break down the bigger picture and let's make this super simple. What does AFGE do? Now, think about your school having a student council. They speak up when the school lunches are bad or playground isn't safe. That's kind of what AFGE does, but for grown-ups who work for the government. If someone is being treated unfairly, paid too little, or forced to work in unsafe conditions, AFGE steps in and says, nope, that's not right. They negotiate, file complaints, and speak up on behalf of their members. That means when AFGE fights for its members, they're also fighting for you because these are the people who deliver your mail, run your airport security, and help veterans get the care they need and protect, working stuff behind the bars, protect the community from danger. Now, how is the media talking about union like AFGE? Some people in the news say things like government workers already have it good. They don't need a union. But others say without unions like AFGE, workers are just left to deal with whatever their boss wants. And that's not fair. So there's a lot of things being put out there, and I'll get deep into it later down the road. But right now, the narrative for unions is on the negative side. So that's why I'm glad that we're talking about this. You know what federal unions are, because we're not what the some of the congressional members are saying, the senators are saying. We are for the people, and we do work and assist for work and safe environment for everyone. Now, so let's see, who's right? It depends on what you value. But one thing for sure, AFGE gives workers a voice, just like the Why Ooze podcast. And without that, it's easier for people to get ignored or pushed around. Have that ever been you? I remember Pootie Moore used to call me every now and then and just ask questions about certain things. I know other people
Yo,
that call
yo,
me.
yo. Who's Poonie Moore? That guy was
Oh, my bad, Kenny Mokunua. You were Pootie Moore when you called me at that time. But yeah, I know other folks, you know, that are not working for the federal unions always call me because they know what I do as a unionist. Ask me, hey, how can I draft an email, to my supervisor, and this is what's going on. So I help them through. Um, and most of them are all family members too. And then I have some
You know what?
friends.
Before Ely goes further, man, let me just give y'all a little story of what she's talking about. So she is right. Not too long ago, you know what I'm saying? I'm working at my workplace, and we felt like, because in the state of Kentucky, I feel like the state of Kentucky is, well, first of all, we're the state of Commonwealth. Whatever that means, I don't know what it is. I haven't really took the time to look it up. But anyways, where I'm getting at is, to me, from my experience, I've only been here for about a year and a half, and from a lot, at least within the industry that I work for, everybody works or was born, you know what I'm saying? Descendants, family members, all union. That's all they know, right? So I always felt compelled that, oh, I need to be a part of that, because we felt like our voices was not being heard. And we were just asking for the most simplest stuff, because we were in a workplace that we as regular folks didn't feel like it was safe. So of course I hit up Ely, like, man, we're talking about water. Just something about just as simple as water at a construction site that hasn't been built. So then Cuz go ahead and put me on some game, educate me on some stuff where we also had like a union person come and talk to us a little bit about, hey, you really don't need a union. It's really just everybody with one voice coming up with the same complaints, and then have a solution for it. I think so. Anyways, long story short, me and a few of our guys gave that a try. We're like, all right, that's what they said. Let's apply that, right? So it gives me some advice. Well, with the petition, this is what you need to write. All this and that, and you want to make it. You have to make sure that everybody is like all in one accord, meaning that, let's just say water was an example, right? Have a solution, but make sure it's also feasible, I guess, right? Cuz to where
Hmm.
it's within the business, and don't over be dramatic about stuff. Just get to the point of what you need and be direct. Because the whole point is like, we need some pallets of water at our site, because we got to bring in our own water, and it takes a long. It's quite a distance to where you got to get to your car, drive, and go buy some water. You know what I'm saying? Long story short, anyways, we ended up doing that, and to my surprise, something that I thought it was going to take a few weeks to get a response, it happened within few days, like within that week. Especially the one we wanted to reach to, our supervisor just directly gave it to that person that we were targeting that needed to hear our voices, right? So what I'm trying to say is, for those that are against the union, I see why, because you can speak for yourself. But mind you, not everybody in the working force, especially frontline or regular Joes that works at retails, warehouses, ain't nobody got a time and a place to, or trying to express our frustration, can communicate the right words for supervisors or even hire people to make decisions, make them understand, in all fairness. And I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people, and they don't want to really go into a confrontation with their supervisor because of the fear of like, oh, now you're in their bad side, so you're going to be mistreated. I think that's why a lot of people unfortunately wants to have a union. You know what I'm saying? Cuz does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, people want a lot of people leaning towards to creating unions at their workplace, and so they can have a voice. Because some people don't know how to communicate, and who to communicate and how to communicate to individuals. Like when you called up, you gave me a issue, a problem, and I told you like, hey, just keep it very simple. Go with solutions. Don't sound like you're complaining all the time, because that's the best way you can fix things is you identify the issue, and then you come up with solutions of how, and give them several things they can look at, the company or your supervisor can look at, and then like, oh, okay, and make it nothing that's unbearable or that will cost the company money and stuff. So I mean, you guys did that, and it was good to go. And then other individuals will call me and ask me to help, how to communicate, when they have private meetings with their supervisors, what was the best way to take. So it's just having advice and guidance is what a union is there for. Especially if you have a collective bargaining agreement, um, your bylaws and so forth. So as long as you have those in place, you just go by it and just hold everyone accountable, including, the union folks, because we too have to be held accountable. So it is legal to have a union within the federal agencies, because some people think it's illegal, because right now the verbiage out there from a senator out in Tennessee is saying that they're wasting government funds on these union activities. I mean, like, really? Let me ask you this. When managers violate policies, violate the laws on government time, what is being done with them? So the union steps in on government time, we call it official time, and is afforded to us, under 5 USC chapter 71. That gives federal employees the rights once they're elected as a representative to represent the field. That is our right to represent. So when we have to represent people because the managers violate something or something's going on, then we are authorized by the law to be on official time to go and handle issues. It's not a separate thing like these congressional staff and senators are saying that we're wasting government tax funds. We're not wasting government tax funds. If you really want to look at it, if managers or head of the agency would just do their job and not violate, then you wouldn't be wasting all these money going to arbitrations or and so forth. So that's the thing way down the line. But I just wanted to identify that because a lot of people saying that unions are a waste of time, wasting taxpayer dollars, which is not true. You got to understand. Don't believe the hype what they're talking about. So let me talk about the difference between being a union in the federal government and the private sectors or the companies. Even signing up for the union. You know how some companies you have to sign up. I guess when you get hired, it's mandatory for state or something. But as for federal employees, it is your choice. It is against the law to be mandated to join the union in a federal service. So that is your choice. Whatever place you're at, you sign up. You literally have to fill out a form and authorize the union to, for you to be a union member. So no, it's not mandatory like some of these people are saying. It's your choice. So as a federal union, it's total option. Total optional to become a member. So that means if you work for the government, you don't have to join the union. It's not mandatory, but I highly recommend you do join, especially with everything that's going on with today. You see a lot of probationary people were fired, and now that the union is currently and still fighting for all these probationary staff. Um, so like I said, some jobs in the private sector or the state level might require unionship as part of the contract, but in the federal world, it's always your choice. Even if someone chooses not to join, the union still works to protect all employees in that workplace. That's a pretty big deal. So, you got any questions about that, Ken?
Yeah, I do because that's I've been recently informed about situations like that in the private sector. That yeah, it's almost the same thing. You don't have to sign for a union, but even though if the company decides to get well, employees vote and they win the vote that they want a union in the company, even like for example, like me, if I don't want to be a part of the union, I still will be represented by the union. That's I don't know if that's the same for the federal side because yeah,
And yeah, it's illegal for us to force people to, but because it's federal, so it's a whole different ordeal. But depends on your contract with the, like, say the union comes in and whatever contract they have. If it says that every new person that comes in has to be a union member, then that's how you know. But every contract is different, so you really have to read your
yeah,
contract
exactly.
to understand it.
And that's exact. I think that's what happened is that the company that I work for actually brought like the state representative because it is by law and to inform us about the good and the bad of a union. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that part. For our contract, if the union was to be passed and everybody was to vote, majority was to vote to have a union, then those that don't want the union will still be involved. The union representative will still represent them, which
Nice.
is yeah, it's nice. But then of course they're also like talking about like, well, the only bad thing about that is I mean, they're counter to that because obviously, to me, I felt like, well, it's the company that hired these representatives from the state to inform us about it. They make it sound like, which is informative, like, yeah, even though if you don't vote and the vote passes and then your company becomes a union for the hourly employees, let's get that one straight for those that don't understand. In the private sector, hourly employees, not salary employees, will be unified or unioned, however you want to
Hmm.
put that. And like I said, is even if you don't want a union and they pass it, the union representative is going to be your representative. And they were just saying that the bad thing about that is that let's just say a union member that voted is going to have priority over your situation. Sometime whoever the union steward is, if they don't like you in your own little department, you're kind of like getting the end of the stick. I mean, those are the stigma or the negative side that you hear about it. But besides that, cuz I just want to break down some of these questions and just have you answer it. One of the main questions that's been asked that everybody knows about, you hear both sides. Oh, when you have a union, your pay grade goes up. But then also you hear on the left side, oh no 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 no. Some cases your pay grade goes up, but the company has the right to lower your pay. Because at the end of the day, it's the company and the union that's going to negotiate your salary. What is your take on that one? What factors contributes to this disparity?
So I'm glad you asked that question because on the
Hmm.
federal side, we don't negotiate pay because we follow federal rules. The way we have to go get the pay is basically go to Congress, and go through that whole ordeal. But for you guys, you can negotiate pay. Um, the company, depending on if you guys don't have no contract, the company can do whatever the hell they want because that's why a lot of companies wouldn't want a union because they can come in and just determine and dictate what the pay is. They can determine, fire at will. There's no process or procedures of how to basically get rid of you as a horrible employee that you don't work and stuff. But my thing about my personal opinion about that is if you're going to require me to work and I'll because I accepted the job that you already and the pay that you start me off with, but if you expect me to do more than what what I am required to in accordance with my position description. It could be like not like some minor things, but if it was like major stuff where it's a change in working conditions, of course I'm going to go and ask the union for higher, pay. Especially if you guys get rid of like they get rid of a middle management and now I have to do that middle management's job on top of what I already have to do. You best believe I'm gonna ask the union, hey, I'm doing two jobs now, and if I can prove it, I'm gonna prove it. And that's yeah, then that's when it's legit to ask for a pay raise, or I mean to negotiate the pay to be better for all the employees and stuff.
Okay, so that's where the benefit of the union is because they're able to negotiate and know the laws and the laws that where the employee, because a lot of I've experienced that. I experienced that even now. Like there's stuff that I signed up for that I never signed up for, but I'm actually executing or performing at work, and just upon my peers, we're just like, wow. I mean, all we gotta do is update our resume, and we can actually go apply for these actually jobs that we never thought we can apply for because we had no experience because we're actually doing that work right now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's the benefit part. But beyond wages, unions are known to negotiate benefits, like you said, right? What are some of the typical benefits that union members might receive that non-union workers might not?
Um, I'll just answer like this. Some of the benefits the non-members will get is, let's just say if we take a case to arbitration, we're not going to use union funds to do your case because it's voted upon in the membership. Because those are members, dues paying members. So, like, if you're not a union member, Kenny, in the federal world, and you want to take your case for a disciplinary case to arbitration, we're going to take it to the membership and vote on it. And when the members ask, is this guy a member or this woman a member? And we're like, no. They're like, hell no, we're not going to spend the money on somebody wants the union's help, and they haven't been paying dues. So that's one of the biggest benefits if you want to take your stuff to a third party to hear it out. Um, but as for the federal union, I know that there are a lot of different benefits. There's a thing called purchasing power where you can purchase things from laptops, computers, workout equipments, discounts at parks, movies, real estate, school, and all that. That if you don't pay dues, you don't have access to all that. You have life insurance, um, dental, vision. Some of the union benefits are cheaper than what are out there. So those are some of the benefits that I know for sure if you're not a dues paying member, you don't have access to. As a matter of fact, we have some managers who pay dues so they can have access to those benefits. So
Wow, that's interesting. I guess the whole federal union is a lot different from private
it's a
sector.
lot different.
Yes, I've heard from different unions that there is a lot of benefits, but then I also heard a lot of terrible ones. Now, I think it really depends on your industry, your work industry, the field that you're working in. Where the benefit of the union. Me alone, I just feel personally, for me, I don't need a union in my life individually because I can stand up for myself and I believe of what I signed up to work for, whether it's A through Z. That's what I'm going to fulfill my obligations because that's what I signed up for. However, from experience, I feel like a lot of the members that I work with, past, present, and it seems like a lot of slackers are the ones that want unions, meaning that they want unions to cover their butts. And I'm not going to say that's a 50-50 deal. You have even good workers who like they were born into that because their parents was the one that, a union did a lot for their families. So I don't want to be like, oh, I'm for it or against it. I just want to make it, for the viewers of ours to see their own. But anyways, drop a comment below. Let us know. You know what I'm saying? Like what y'all experience on it. But so union membership isn't without its challenges, right, Ely? Members are often required to pay dues. How are these due structures? I don't know if the government, the federal side is the same, because I know that's the biggest thing that those that are against union will always say. That's one of their tools in their bag. Well, you're gonna be paying this much, and a lot of stuff that you get ain't even guaranteed, like your wages, like the benefits that you have. You know what I'm saying? You're almost like wasting money, and that union sometimes won't even do what they were hired to do. What's your take on that one?
Well, here's my take on when people complain about, what the union, they love, I always hear, what has the union done for me? Where's my money going? The problem is, you're the problem. If you're paying dues, then you need to start attending the meetings. You need to ask questions in the meeting instead of just being out there and be a keyboard warrior and send out emails, bad mouthing the unions. I hear that all the time. Um, you have to. The reason why, just like the reason why I got involved is because I was one of those people like, what the union doing? What they got going on? So, in order for me to know what's going on and see exactly what's happening, I decided to become a steward back in when I first started. And that's when I learned the basics, and that's when I see the work behind the scenes because people don't see what's going on. So if you are asking yourself, what has the union done for you? The question is, what have you done to even keep yourself updated on what's going on with the union? Like, for example, the unions here in I know for sure they're the reason why we got annual leave. They're the reason why we have sick leave. They're the reason why we have a lot of stuff, that benefits not only bargaining members, but including all staff, including managers. So everyone benefits from it. But it all depends on who the union is, who is holding the positions, how they operate in the union. If you have a sucky ass president, vice president, treasurer, sergeant arms, chief steward, then you know what? Your union sucked. And guess what? You guys voted them in. So whenever your election is every 2 or 3 years, you have the right to be wrong every 2 to 3 years. The main thing about the union is don't vote your friends in. You got to vote people with experience, people who know things. So it's really the responsibility of me or you as an individual, if who wants to know what's going on with the union. You want to know the structure of the pay because I know what the structure of the pay, but I don't know the percentage. But when you let's just say you pay $20 a pay period for a union, that's $40 a month. Um, certain percentage go to AFGE, and then the certain percentage go to the um the agency right below AFGE, and then the local people. So um and then you need to go to your meetings and see how much money is coming through your bank account. That's how you know where your money's at, because the treasurer at the every meeting should have a treasury report. The treasurer should know exactly what's going on, and then if people want to see where the money's going, they can ask, "Hey, so what have we spent this month or last month or whatever?" The treasurer would just get online, pull it up, and show them where the money's at for transparency purposes. So that's how you eliminate all that talk about where's the money going and what have the union. Why is the union good for me? Think about the union as a life insurance or a car insurance. I call it a job insurance. You don't need it until you need it. You don't need the union until you get in trouble. You don't need a union until all of a sudden your boss wakes up on a bad day and it comes after you, that you get disciplined for something that you didn't even think you get disciplined for. You could be walked out. So you don't need it until you need it. That's how having your dues in. That's how I tell people. It's like you don't need it until you need it. It's like a car insurance. It's a job insurance. So
That's an interesting take. Yeah. So another comment. That's Thanks for answering that part. Another one that I hear a lot too is the concerns of, And I hear a lot from new employees, right? New hires, because oh yeah, when you become a union, the ones that really benefit are seniorities. You know, those that start. Like how does this focus can impact the opportunities for newer employees or those who excel in their roles but haven't been with the company as long as those that started before them? Because seniority plays a big role in the private sector. I don't know about the government side. I mean, federal side at least.
So, what are some of the complaints you're hearing from the private sector side?
The private sector side is like those that are the obvious seniorities. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of seniority people will like use that as an ammo. Like, yeah, I've been here long enough, so they get those benefits. They get whether it's a promotion or anything like that, or a bit of like overtime, or want a holiday off. Those are good examples.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain blackouts on like industries that people all have to work, but the ones that will get those holidays or the overtime or the days off will
Well,
be
let's
the
talk
ones
about that first.
seniority. Yeah, go
Let's
ahead.
talk about that seniority holiday off. When you sign up, when you become a new employee, do you believe in doing your time to get some stuff?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
You need
so
to earn your keep.
let's just look at exactly that's how I look. Earn your keep. Let's just say shift works and stuff. Um, Seniority plays a big role on that, and yeah, it's negotiated in contracts on on seniority and annual leave time taken off. But that's not the only thing that benefits the union when you're a new employee. You look at good things such as upward mobility type of programs. Being promoted. Does your company have programs that the new folks or the senior folks can participate in? Let's just say not interim, but go do something in a different department while you're still on duty, and you can count that under your you can put in your resume, like a training on duty for a certain position. Let's say you're on the media side of things, but you want to go learn, HR stuff. Do your company have a program where you can go maybe 1 day or 2 days or whatever hours to spend an hour with an HR specialist to learn those things? Those are type of upward mobility type of ordeals, as a new employee can benefit from. So it all depends on how the contract is drafted. And those are the things that, as a unionist should be thinking about. How can we benefit the new employees and the current and our senior folks?
Good one, cousin. That's a good answer to it. So, my next question will be: so the broader economic impacts of union is the topic of ongoing debates, right? You mentioned that before. While they can increase workers' purchasing power, there are arguments that higher labor costs might lead employees to raise prices and reduce their workforces. How do unions influence the overall economy, and what are the potential ripple effects on industries and consumers?
That question, could you ask the first part?
So
The
the impact of unions is a topic of just like an ongoing debate. So while they can increase workers' purchasing power, people on the left is arguing that the higher the labor costs might lead to employers to the companies to raise their prices or I'm sorry, reduce their prices, which is lower their pay rate. So the question is, how does the union influence these overall concerns? Because the potential ripple effects on industries is that's what the consumers are concerned about.
consumers or just people in general?
Just people in general, you know what I mean?
So what it
In
sounds
other
like
words,
is people are
in
worried about um, you workers are asking for more. Like let's just say
yes,
the pay
and
rate the
exactly, and say that the company does grant that, and because the company has granted that pay rate, now the product that they're selling to us consumer people, the prices goes up. Like
Yeah.
the eggs, for example, that everybody's complaining about. Could it be they're blaming it on inflation, or maybe the ones that produces these or gives out the eggs is the
Of
reason why
course, they're going
stuff
to
went
blame
up? You know what I
of
mean?
course, they're going to try and say that the union has a big part because the union is probably trying to negotiate a fair wage for everything that the company's asking those individuals to do. What and you know though, if whatever product they're selling, they get it for much cheaper. Let's just say toys, you know, and you work for a toy company, you know damn well you're getting it for a cheaper price from China or wherever. And then now that the tariffs are incorporated, it's going to go up now. Now you as a company is going to have to pay a much more higher price. So what you do, you turn around and pay and charge the consumers more, and then you blame the workers and their union for because they have to pay more. No, some companies are just trying to make their money. They're trying to be cheaper. They're just trying to make more money with less work, and then not trying to pay the people what they're owed to. Um, Sometimes, who knows? They're asking for too much. Like I know minimum wage is like $20. I think out here, 15 to $20, or I don't know where. In SeaTac, I think it's 15 or 7. I don't know. It's somewhere up there. But the minimum wage is high, and of course, a lot of places, a lot of companies are going to pull out because they can't afford to keep that. Um, but you can't just blame the union on that. You got to blame the companies too. I put blame maybe on both, but as a unionist, if I were to negotiate, I'll make sure that people deserve those raises, right? Don't just get it because you can and you bully your way in and trying to get all this money. Make sure that people are doing the work that is deserved to get that money. Um, but as for companies and and all the people that you were talking about, they love to easily point the finger at the union because it's an easy target. Just like when even line staff blame the union all the time when something's not going right or something's wrong. But have they ever considered what has the agency or management has done to cause the problem? No. It's easier to point fingers at the union. So that needs to change.
Kind of like how it is right now with President Donald Trump and how all the main media is trying to cover up the main topic and just like, oh, look at what he's doing with appointing Elon Musk with Doge and all the other stuff. And then when there's actually change, they want to, from there, okay, I see what you're saying. So
Hmm.
that's a
Like,
good one.
look at here, but there's stuff going on down here about they're moving pieces. So,
Yeah, man, listeners, be like Candace Owens, man. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Check the facts. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go off of what everybody else is saying. But pivoting to the next question that I have, like us at the YOS podcast, and AI, a lot of companies, industries have evolved because of technology. So to me, I feel like that's where the whole point of, oh, the union is falling because things are changing. How are the unions adapting to these representations? Or how are they representing their people? You know what I'm saying? Or their clients, which is people that are union. Or what are the
well, that's a
challenges that
good.
are facing? You know what I mean?
So one of the challenges for the AI part is because it's an automated um, model that the companies or agencies are using to go through applications. So, they look for keywords and all that great stuff. I think that's where the problem is being trying to be addressed and studied because you're gonna have who knows what the agency or company are putting in where if the application has disabled or whatever, they're gonna automatically disregard that application. So if that happens and you disregard a disabled veteran who is qualified that can get that job, you just committed a disability violation. So it's those things that's very tricky, and I think with the whole AI thing, it all about the job announcements and how to save time because right now a lot of companies and agencies they want to incorporate or they have incorporated AI bots to do all those automated things to save money and time. So it's a hard fight for the union if you're really looking at AI and stuff to eliminate those type of works, but you're just gonna have to start looking at the positions. I don't know, in the private sector, I would look at the positions, um, and then once that person retires or gets fired, who knows, they won't hire behind that. They're just gonna be automated, AI bots that's gonna do their job. So that's a really good thing, and I know that the union for the federal side has been looking into it for the past couple of years, and so still trying to figure a way how to counter that because it could be an issue because it's all automated.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards, and I've said this before to some of my peers. I feel like it's a generational thing because the Gen X, right? The Gen X is that's everybody like your generation, right, cousin?
Hmm?
Gen X,
Yeah.
yeah, because baby boomers are slowly. There's like not that much percentage of it, so a lot of it's Gen X who are in history shows that it's where the union began, from baby boomers to the Gen X. I feel like, and a little bit of millennial too. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a millennial. I feel that because of AI, with the help of that, it's making people aware, and especially for our kids. You know, they're all in their 20s now, and they're able to think on their own and speak for themselves, and being like, I hate the word smart, but just a lot aware, or just aware of what's right and what's wrong, and willing to stand up for what they believe in. Right? I feel like that's what's where the union's gonna end, unless something happens, or whoever comes up with a great idea to trigger that. That's just how I feel about things. Then again, I'm kind of feel like it's always gonna be there because the majority of people tend to tend to just go with the vibe or the trend, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It's going to be an interesting time to see how this all goes. You know?
Whether union's still going to be around or not because
Yeah,
of AI and all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, you never know. Like, it's either going to go good, or the fall of the union, or it's either going to rise. Unless I don't want to say it out loud because I have some ideas for us about that when we're talking about AIs. Anyways, moving
Yeah.
on to the next one. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So nobody steals our ideas. You know, so critics sometimes argue that unions can become too powerful, potentially hindering businesses' operations and the economy. So, do you know from the federal side of the union any historical instances that where the union action has led to significant disruption or negative consequences for industries? Is there anything like that on the government side?
No, what you
That
got
it
on the public
became
sector?
too powerful?
No, we just get too big, and the government just don't like it. That's why they have bills out there trying to counter everything, trying to get rid of the federal union. That's another topic for something else. But because of power in numbers, as you see, we can represent over 800,000, and I think right now our membership for as federal unions is over 300,000 members. And the government and the agencies they really don't like that because they just want to do what they want to do, no accountability, no checks and balances. Um, but some people can look at the union too as the bad guys, you know, not doing enough. But yeah, as for the negative impact, I have no comment on that. But
Mm-hmm.
what are you going on with the private sector? Because you remember there's a lot of mobster stuff back in the days
I
with
know.
the union and getting involved. You know, we want this contractor, so the union is involved. Like get this company this and that. I mean, just watching all those mob stories.
I mean, that's how the union all started.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? At least America's history. That's, and I feel like in somewhat way, it's almost the same mentality as Donald Trump. Donald Trump being passed up when he wanted to be an owner of the NFL and other top tier businesses, and they just kept on dogging the man to where he'd been like, you know what? All right. He kept on staying persistent to where it's like, all right, you don't want to do this? Okay, well, fuck you. I'm just going to be the president. I'm going to make the change. And that's almost like how a union was formed. Was the the federal or the cops would kept messing with the mobsters' money and stuff, and they're like, you know what? We need to form, manipulate a group, and have the people speak up, so that way we can cover up what we're doing, and that way we can still do what we do as mobsters, and also, you know what I'm saying, they gotta throw some flowers and some pebbles to the regular common people, so that way, the truth of everything is not revealed, and that's why I say those that are on the left, they feel like, man, that's all the union is. They're like you said, they're like insurance, and and your sale pitch is like you never know until you need to use it. But what about those that's been paying dues for 30 plus years and didn't have to once use them to fight their cases? You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, some of them is not personal cases. They just know that the union is going to be there to fight as a whole. So if the agency try to change something, they know for sure that the union should be there to stand up for any type of thing. So people just pay their dues just to make sure that their representation carries on.
so do you know? Is there anything in history or something that's always been pride of like what the unions did? That's like in history books of the good, the positive things that the union did.
There's a lot of good things. I can't even
What's
talk
one of
about
the
it.
What's
But
one of
right
the
now,
main one that stands out?
oh,
One of like like a Hercules story. Like, wow, the union did this, forming all that. You know what I mean?
I'll get back to you at that one.
So government policies significantly influence the effectiveness and perceptions of labor unions. Right? We've said that. How does the legislation and political climate impact union operations and worker rights? How is that affecting us now?
From the political side,
Yeah. The government policy significantly influences the effectiveness and perceptions of the labor unions.
well, yeah, they're the ones who pass the laws. So,
Hmm.
if there's laws that's what I was talking about earlier. You have some bills being introduced that can affect the workers or the union as a whole, then that's when the union has to step in and call their representatives, urge their membership to call the congressmen and senators to vote against said bill. So it has a lot. It affects a lot everything that we do on an everyday basis. So they're the ones who write the laws, pass the laws, and they're also the ones that can change the laws. So it has a big effect on how everything operates.
Wow. And then, like, for the listeners, man, who are contemplating on joining the union or who are evaluating the presence of a union in their workplace, what factors should you consider? Or I'm sorry, what factors that should they consider, Ely, in making this kind of decision? Rather to vote for yes or no?
That's a question for you because I'm always going to say yes.
Yeah, but what
Just
are the
just be
factors?
part of
You
the
know what I'm
union.
saying? Be
I
part
already
of the like
explained the
what
factors in the beginning. Is your
summarize. You know what I'm saying? To summarize or like the positive, because we're closing out this segment right here with the questions that I had. That's all I'm saying, cuz.
I want to see if you were listening with the factors that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, let me hear. So the benefit, here's the benefit if you do sign up for a union, guys. They will negotiate your pay, especially if you're signing up for a job and you realize that your supervisors, your managers are giving you other jobs where you actually gained a new skill set. The union can help negotiate that and give you that pay that you so well deserve. They will help you with your benefits, anything, health, insurance, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They will basically be your somewhat of a lawyer that will always speak for you and fight for your rights. You know what I'm saying? Safety is the first thing,
Look at that. You're
right?
already learning something. Good job, kid.
Man,
Give yourself a pat.
that's just the podcasting because
But just to finish up, we are not attorneys.
yeah.
So, just realize we are representatives. Do not think of your unions as an attorney. And also, if they don't know the answers, then they should go look for answers and get back with you. To be part of the union is always a great thing because you always have someone to go to if you have questions within your job. They should be the subject matter experts at at your contracts. And, if you have problems with family medical leave, if you want to learn about, when to take leave, how to take leave, it's a, it's a lot of great things about being the union. But the main thing is how I look at it is people don't care how much you know, but if people do care, when it's how much you care about them. So the union is there for you. They're supposed to be there for you to walk you step by step and help you out through your um, your job, your career. So a union is a wonderful thing to be part of. Uh, if you see something that you think could change, or if you see something you don't like, and then guess what? Know when the election year is up, or then run for a position, or become active. Go help out the union. Learn. You don't even have to face management. You could be the researcher for the union. You could be the legislative person. You could be the legislative individual that will go and visit, congressmen, congresswomen, senators, and just, talk about the bills, talk about your workplace situation, and there you have it. You don't even have to face management. You can be one of those that do the work behind, the scenes, and they're very important too. So, union is a beautiful thing to do.
Well, there you have it, folks. Ely has spoken her side, her expert, like I'm gonna subject expert matter,
SME, subject matter expert.
subject matter expert for the federal government of the union. Now, for myself, like I said, folks, if you're like myself, do my own research, speak for myself, and stand up for myself, represent myself. I don't need a union. But because I'm also a team player, and if we do end up being a union, you know what I'm saying? Make sure your boy vote for me to be the steward union. For you know what I'm saying? You gotta play both sides, yo. Sometimes you gotta play both sides, man. Sometimes it's good to just, be on the left or the right, I guess. You know what I mean, cuz?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And, I mean, you know what? Let's see if there's anybody. Let's go to the comments right now, because you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of people tuning in today. Let's see. Let's see here. What do we got here? How do I look this up?
Man, they all disappear already. Taking forever to look for them.
I know, right? For real, live comments. Yeah, leave your comments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mine up.
But yeah, man, that's a good one, cuz informative. I mean, you're pretty much saying what the representative who came into my company and informed us about our rights, the good and the bad. To be quite honest, at the end of the day, the conclusion was like, you can make your own choices. Be like exactly what you said. Like, go and do your research.
Hmm.
But from my experience and my surrounding, people are not willing to. People are not. Majority of people tend to don't or choose to learn stuff. It's a lot more easier to just get a union rep to take care of all that stuff. We have more of that than those who are willing to just stand alone, stand for their right. And then, of course, those that are against unions are the ones who are in the good in the circle of supervisors. You know what I'm saying? I've experienced that both sides. When I wasn't in the circle of or in the favor of a supervisor, of course, heck yeah, I wanted a union. But and then I've experienced that where I'm also being part of management, I don't want the union because I'm benefiting as an individual. You know what I'm saying? So to each his own, man. Hopefully, we were able to put y'all on some game when it comes to, if you've never been in a union, if that's something that you want to do, if your company's going through it, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, this message that Illy has shared with us help, with your decision making when it comes to that one. You have anything else on this topic? Because before we end this segment of union,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
yes, I've already,
Success.
yes,
You already gave the shout out.
I know. That's all I said. I already gave a shout out. You know what I'm saying?
Motivational time. Success comes with consistency. Keep going, even on the shittiest days.
Tell them.
Have a wonderful one, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day.
Damn, that is so powerful, man. Sometimes the shortest things is all you need to hear. I like that one, cuz.
You're very welcome.
I know. But for those, man, if you like what you're looking at with this whole beautiful screen going on here, man, make sure you get into our YouTube channel. Subscribe. First of all, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? To get more of these information. We are utilizing Riverside.fm to podcast. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and click our link where we have our affiliated link for Riverside and get yourself a Riverside.fm and get yourself a podcast. And if you also want some information on podcasts, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel that will keep you informed and get you up to speed with it. And again, our merch to be determined.
That's it. We done for the night.
For real, cuz. I'm Kenny Morfanua,
And I'm Ely.
and we out, baby. Boss, don't
Fire
worry.
producer.
I gotta fix that one right there.
Powered by Riverside.
And it's stop.
There we go.